So my previous two videos, I started reviewing and kind of messing around with this Undersun loop style resistance band set, and I basically thought now I'd incorporate a workout where I'm going to utilize a loop style resistance band set into a Weider Ultimate Body Works and or a Total Gym. And my thought process behind this workout was basically that you're only going to need to attach and anchor these bands to the actual machine itself, instead of, if you don't need access to a door anchor or a door that's nearby or a squat rack like I have, that we're just going to be using this machine solely. So I will put links in the description box. I will timestamp everything as always, and if you guys can always give this video a like and or subscribe if you guys like this content, that would be very beneficial. But let's get into this video. Now, I don't always usually showcase the warm-up I'm doing, and sometimes honestly I don't really do too much of a warm-up. I kind of count the first set as a warm-up, but if you guys want to do like a basic warm-up, this is basically what I was doing, kind of these first three exercises, kind of a squat to press, some rear flies, and then also some rows with the bands. And then, like some workouts I did in the past, pay attention to some things I note in the beginning of each circuit, because there are some exercises that as I get to like the second and third set, I do adjust some things kind of subtly. Otherwise, it's going to be 3 sets across for these circuits, and 15 repetitions pretty much is what I stick with for all these exercises. And it's always helpful if you guys kind of let me know the format you guys kind of like. I try and record everything so you guys kind of see it. I don't know if you guys are really using these as like follow alongs, or you guys want to see all the sets, but in the future, if you guys want to keep these videos kind of short and concise, where you can just see what the exercise and sets are, that's always helpful to let me know. Otherwise, I think it's the best of both worlds if I timestamp stuff if you guys want to jump ahead and kind of see what the gist of the workout is. Alright, the first exercise in this circuit is going to be a single leg press with the bands, and notice I'm kind of fine tuning this a little bit. In the second and third set I get a little better grip, but this is kind of pretty less, it's not very forgiving on your hands as you keep going, so definitely maybe throw on a pair of gloves or loop this around a few times, maybe with a different size band, so that you can actually kind of grab inside the loop. That'll make this exercise feel a lot better. You can make this exercise a little bit harder by kind of extending the leg out. I kind of like having that leg, the back leg, kind of tucked underneath, as I mentioned this in a previous video where I used the same exercise with tube style bands. And that first time I did it, this exercise particularly felt really hard. That might have been because I kind of pre-exhausted the legs, but definitely a good exercise. Just might take a little bit of fine tuning based on your machine and the set of resistance bands that you guys have. Otherwise, a great exercise, and I'd say in general, I didn't mention this is what makes this exercise or this particular workout a total body workout. I think we get 2 leg exercises in this workout. Otherwise, not a whole lot of leg heavy stuff on this, but definitely going to be a lot of volume, and kind of I was definitely breathing pretty heavy in this workout. Now you're going to notice right away when I go into the second exercise here, all I do is basically kind of anchor the bands from the bottom and then cross anchor it to the other side of the sled. So if you don't have a Weider Ultimate Body Works that has these bungee cables attached and you have like a different Total Gym model, this is a great option just to add just kind of extra banded intensity in general. On these pull-ups, you might not notice it as much here. I kind of slide off it, so I'd recommend when you guys start these exercises, it's definitely the second and third set I did this, I kind of scoot down to kind of start that exercise, and then I basically kind of leave the strap on for the pressing. So again, nice way of kind of adding extra banded tension if you guys don't have it. I don't think it's really necessary to add extra bands for each set. Honestly, I thought it was hard enough with this maximum heavy band, and then basically raising the incline for the sets that follow. So you can see now in the second set with this exercise, I've already kind of added an extra band. I'm starting to kind of play around with my grips a little bit, and I left this unedited just so you can kind of see what I'm kind of doing, what my thought process is as I'm doing this for the first time, because this exercise feels really good with tube style bands, but just kind of takes a little bit of practice, kind of fine tuning what your grip might be and the comfort level for kind of finding that ideal resistance. But you'll notice throughout all these circuits, especially in this first one, I try and pick exercises where you can kind of easily switch and interchange the exercises. There's not a whole lot of time of adjusting the bands and stuff like that. So that's kind of my thought process as you're kind of going forward with these exercises as well. So all you're doing is going right into this single leg squat, and then jumping, picking the bands up, attaching it really easily, and then going right into the pull up and then the press. So that's pretty much it with this first circuit. Definitely just fine tune some things to your liking. There's not a straight recommendation I'd say, other than I don't think you need a whole lot of extra bands for the pull-up and the press on this one. I would just raise the incline to make it harder, and that's what I did in the second and third sets. And then the start of this second circuit, I basically do this overhead bandit squat, which I've showed before in this channel, where I use a pair of tube style bands with handles, and that makes it a little bit easier to kind of hold on to it, but this really isn't that much different. Basically, I made this a little bit harder by putting two bands attached to it, but you can, obviously use a heavier band, which I think I go into the second and third set I do that, but you can always make this harder by getting your kind of stretching your arms out a little bit wider to kind of increase the tension, or you can just grab kind of a little bit lower in the band itself to kind of increase the tension. But really great exercise. I forgot as I was mentioning this that there was 3 exercises, so there's more than 2 exercises I was saying in the beginning of this workout, but great exercise. You can definitely make this harder or easier. And then this one I thought was actually really tough. You're going to see me kind of struggling a little bit, and I think a lot of that's because I was only taking at most 30 seconds rest periods, which makes this workout extra hard. I mean, I was kind of sweating for sure and breathing heavy. I think bands kind of do that naturally, but when I got to like the second and definitely the third set, I basically took a little bit longer rest period, and I was able to kind of bust out the full 15 repetitions. So for this particular exercise, I really didn't mess with the tension. I just left this band on there, and that was the band I essentially used. I might have actually used this heavy one for the overhead squat towards the end, but I kind of forget. I guess we'll see in a second. But just trying to press at a slight incline. And what I like about this, and I do it more so in the first and second sets because I was a little more exhausted from doing this one, is you can kind of rock and kind of manipulate the tension just by sliding up and down the Weider Ultimate Body Works with Total Gym machine. So that's what's great about this. You can kind of start with really hard tension, or you could sit back like I'm doing here, make it easier and then have a hard finish. So you can kind of mess with that variable resistance. But that's where I really think these loop style bands kind of shine over tube style bands. I just think they're a lot more versatile between the actual workout itself to actually manipulate the weight and tension more so than the tube style bands, because all it really takes to just change the tension is just to kind of grab a little bit lower, and it just feels a little bit better in the hand because of the way it kind of sits. Notice I'm kind of wearing gloves here. And definitely on this last exercise of this circuit, you'll see as this exercise kind of progresses, I definitely kind of changed my form a little bit. This was my original thought, kind of sitting like that, then I tried kneeling. None of them felt bad. I just kind of wanted to get more of like my mid back and kind of lean a little more into it. So I try a few different positions. I think actually one of the best positions, which you're not going to see in this first set, is I just kind of sit right in the middle and I kind of keep my legs locked so the sled's not moving, and I just row that way. And I think in the very third set, I might even kind of stand on it, which is like, again, that kind of high risk maneuver I always tell people just to be careful with. I always like kind of standing on this thing. You're definitely not supposed to, but that's what I do for my own personal workouts. And then you notice we're starting this second set of this circuit, and I'm already kind of increased the band tension to something a little bit heavier. It's heavier, but it wasn't as much tension as I wanted. So as I mentioned before, I just kind of basically increased the width of my hands, and you can see the slack there, and that kind of made the tension a little bit greater. And that's what's great about the loose style bands versus the tube style bands. It's just that they're a little more versatile and kind of changing on the fly, and just I would say in general just pick exercise selections and stuff you can kind of do, which means that even the mid exercise you're pretty much always in some sort of tension. You see me doing a squat to press here, kind of messing around with that a little bit, but I basically, it's hard not for me to wince as you look at these workouts. I'm always kind of like wincing my face because it's just, the tension's always kind of there. You can always keep that tension. Notice on this set of this press, I'm basically kind of more, I'm not moving around as much. I kind of locked myself in. I know I mentioned this, but you definitely feel this in your core muscles if you're kind of sitting high. And, you know, I'm still taking rests, but I mentioned this already, but if you want to make this workout a little bit extra, just a little more difficult, do that 30 seconds rest, because I was sweating and like I said, I was breathing really heavy. But when you take those solid rest periods, you can also, you get the benefit of just being a little bit stronger between sets. So that's something to kind of consider as well. And I really haven't stressed this enough really in these last few videos at how much fun I've been having with these bands, as far as not just the fun of the workouts and just the versatility of them, but I think also just the results. I mean, I've just been really using these bands for the last week exclusively, doing minimal stuff with weights just to kind of get a really feel of the bands and kind of delve into them. And I know obviously I've seen these things and I've messed around with them in gyms for a while. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm working out from home that I actually kind of took the plunge of really doing a whole workout with them. But even watching the videos, I think that my muscles just kind of look like they're more fuller. They definitely feel like they're more like a pump, and it's probably a different stimulus to my body, but really just liking the results as well from using the band. So you'll for sure see a lot more of these in the future when I start playing around with these. So maybe if you're like me and you've seen these bands for a while, or maybe you have a pair of tube style bands like the ones with the handles, and you thought like, well, am I really going to use these things? I would say definitely compared to tube style bands, but just in general, I'd say these are definitely a pickup and something that I probably wish I picked up sooner. Most likely for sure is down to the fact that I'm working out from home. If I was at the gym, maybe it's just something else. I thought, you know, I'd rather do something else at the gym that's there. Maybe I just didn't give these the time of day. But for sure, I think they're worth the investment as far as just the fun and versatility you can incorporate into your workouts, whether that's you're going to attach to a door anchor. You got, definitely if you got a squat rack like I have, that makes it really easy to do a lot of stuff. But even if you're using this Weider Ultimate Body Works or a total gym, it's something you can definitely do. There's so many exercises I didn't even show you that I was already kind of messing around with, but even just the way of just attaching it and throwing it onto something to do some extra stuff like supersetting between exercises, I think this is definitely a good solid addition to incorporating into your workouts. And I know these are kind of expensive. There's definitely cheaper options, which I linked down below as well, that I tried and I did a review of a few days ago. So you know, they might be kind of pricey. There's other cheaper options, and the one I tried earlier honestly didn't feel too different. So as I'm wrapping up this circuit, just kind of sharing some thoughts about, you know, the intensity levels and just the rest periods again. You can see that I'm kind of pumping through faster than I was on those previous two. And I think I even added another band that last incline press. But here's what I go into this standing row in a second. Definitely do this at your own risk. I do a lot of stuff. You're probably not supposed to do this. You're definitely not supposed to probably do this on the total gym or Weider Ultimate Body Works. But I personally just do this for my own workouts. I'm not saying you guys should do this. But this felt really good. This is the kind of angle I actually was shooting for when I was doing this exercise, just kind of a low row. But the reason I have to kind of stand on it, put weight on it, right? Because if I anchored it to the machine, it would just kind of fly up in the air. So that's it for this circuit. We're going to jump right into circuit 3 here, and this going right into this glute kickback. This glute kickback is one that I've done before on the total gym or Weider Ultimate Body Works, and works really well. But you notice how I transitioned there? I thought it actually felt better when I stepped off the machine. And even the different angles, you can kind of bring your leg up. You'll notice I can bring the knee all the way up, or I can just bend my foot and kind of touch my butt basically. But something I would definitely recommend, which I'm not doing because I was getting kind of lazy, is you'll feel this a lot more if you really fully extend and straighten out your knee and kind of reinforce your kind of that glute squeeze at the very end. So basically drive the leg straight back and kind of up a little bit like I just did just right there. That's when you're going to really feel this in your glutes. But I'll be honest, I was like I said before, I was going at a fast click here, so I was just trying to get through the workout a little bit. Definitely still felt it, but I thought it felt better if you kind of go slow and kind of really hold that contraction at the very end there. And I don't know why this feels different, kind of standing off the machine, probably because there's more tension than kind of kneeling on the machine, but this feels really good. It actually feels comparable, if not a little bit better than actually doing it on the Weider Ultimate Body Works or Total Gym. You should feel this for sure in your glutes though. And then I jump right into, again, this rear fly, which I think I messed with the angle here a little bit. This is one band in this set of the Undersun bands I think is a really valuable band, but I'm also one that I'm going to be trying to at least be cautious and baby a little bit, because I could assume if anything's going to break on this set, it's going to be this band. So it's one of my favorite bands to use because it's small tension, but I just like using it. Notice I kind of rep that fast for sure. Like I just said earlier, you could go slower with this, but I was in the zone here. I was listening to music that was kind of fast, so I just kind of was treating this somewhat of a faster paced workout, so you could always just go a little bit slower, take your time, hold those holds. But that's something to do. But I also wanted to superset from that right into this one. So even though it was kind of an easy exercise doing that rear fly, I right away jumped into that inverted press, and then I took about, again, 30 seconds before I jumped into this exercise. So like these previous circuits, I try and build them so that you don't have to kind of switch out these bands, so don't do a whole lot of changing and switching things around too much. So I thought this circuit was a good kind of combination of things to do. So that's really it with this circuit. Mess around with stuff, mess around with tension, but I'll see you guys on the fourth and final circuit. All right, and for this fourth and final circuit, this is basically like an arm blast. So I just wanted to do something where I do a curl on the machine, then a curl on the resistance bands, and then the same thing for the triceps as well. So you want minimal rest periods as much as possible. I'd highly recommend you guys kind of try out the incline and the band setting first, because you'll actually see, I didn't edit it out. I forgot how to do my original tricep extension. I'll show it to you. I thought it was an awesome exercise when I tried it with the bands, and I just couldn't replicate it until the very end. It was a combination of finding the right height on the incline of the machine, the right bands I had attached, and then I forgot I was using the squat stand as like an initial little boost to kind of get into it. You'll see it in a second, but the point is kind of try this out. You don't have to do this sequence. You can just obviously find something else that is a little less cumbersome than what I'm doing. But what the tricep exercise I get into after I do this prone tricep extension, I do this little band like push up and then, you know, extension with the bands, and it felt really, really good. And I just couldn't get it. You see me right here struggling a little bit. I still for sure felt it, and I thought, you know, it might just be that my arms were starting to get exhausted at this point from just doing everything else, and that definitely could have been. But the idea was to kind of like touch the ground. You basically get your feet so you kind of touch the squat pads, and then you push yourself up. So you notice I kind of switched the bands out here. I switched my grip. Definitely you're going to feel it for sure, but it wasn't until the very end where I dialed it in, where I kind of give myself a little bit of boost, and then I squeezed at the very top. So don't have to pick this one. All I know is it felt really good the very first time I tried it. This was the first exercise I actually did before I started the workout, and I was messing around with some stuff that I thought, wow, this actually feels really good, and it kind of motivated me to actually do this workout in the first place. So I just couldn't replicate it. So I thought I'd just show it to you guys anyways. Maybe you guys can dial it down and find it out, but that's it. I know this is kind of a long rantier type of a workout where I'm talking more, but it's always good if you guys tell me if you guys like this stuff or don't like this stuff. I can just simply just show the workouts, and that's it. Otherwise, I can give you my 2 cents as well. But as always, if you guys got this far and you're watching this stuff, it's always appreciated that you guys are watching this content. Please like or subscribe if you haven't already. But again, I already said this, but always it's helpful. Give me any kind of comments, feedback of stuff you guys want to see in the future, because it's always appreciated, and I try and consider those things when I make these videos. So thanks again, you guys.